Probably didn't see you over the steering wheel.
Well,
That's a big truck, Harold.
didn't really start. I'm used to that little truck you was here.
I know, last time I saw him in that, it was on his side.
It was too.
Yeah.
Well, look
I'm
at
driving
Me in it.
Highway 85 and come up just north of Brownlee Lane. There's some police activity on the southbound lane. And here's Harold's truck, took out that sign, with Fort left or right and sign right there, just in the ditch on the side. You know? Name him Bo Duke.
I think he's loving you for outing him on that.
They're kinda cool.
Shit happens, and
But
I
I'm
was
around.
part of it, so.
Show them the belt buckle you got for that ride.
Oh, yeah, hey, I won a contest.
8 seconds, that's all you gotta go.
I don't even know if it lasted that long, but I didn't get thrown.
Who asked for this wind?
Oh, that was not me.
It just came on like.
Yeah, they were calling for late today.
And tomorrow.
Yeah.
All day or just afternoon,
'Tis the season.
right?
Well, I really don't know.
You wouldn't think wind is so annoying.
That's,
Try and get something done outside.
Show will start at 2. Especially carrying a 4x8 Jeep.
Yeah, right. How are you today, Troy?
Doing well.
How are you?
Good, thank you. How about you?
Doing well.
Good.
No peanuts.
Okay,
what's up with that?
Yeah, I guess I have to go back to the store.
We'll have to reload.
Yeah. Do we have to make this a line item in the budget, or?
We took out the board for it.
Now I really can't see.
CML will be going on this year.
No. It was canceled.
The first one we get that's local,
Yeah.
What good, Ken?
CMO.
They didn't want 1,500 people in close proximity to each other.
Elected officials and
Elected.
leaders.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hot air in one place.
Definitely is that.
They wear a mask.
Okay, are we ready?
Yep.
Do we need to wait, Harold? Ready? Okay, alright. I call to order the meeting of Tuesday, May 19th. Can I have a moment of silence for all those serving inside, outside our borders, and in our hospitals, please? Alright, will you please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have roll call, please, Mary?
Mayor Adrian Sandoval.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Larry Clark.
Here.
Harold Leggett.
Absent.
Nick Ralston.
Here.
Spencer Bradden.
Here.
Troy Blum.
Here.
Jeremiah Overman.
Here.
Oh, I'd like to correct that I am here.
If everyone can pull their microphones a little bit closer to them too, please, so people can hear us better on the videos. Thank you.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Alright, since we have nobody, I'm gonna assume we have no audience for can I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as well. Presented.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, since we have no audience, I'm assuming there's no participation, so we'll move on. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of May 5th, 2020, regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, the Police Week proclamation, Public Works Week proclamation, April financials, and the April pay bills.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Action items, resolution 2020-11, Mr. Rankin.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. First action item tonight is a donation to the Will County Food Bank, an amount of $300. The last two donations the board granted, the last couple of months were not given to the school because of obvious reasons. Still plenty of money in the donation fund for the board. I'm not sure what else may come up, but, as I indicated in my report, we are actively involved with the Well Food Bank with the summer feeding program starting actually next Wednesday. We're gonna do it every week through the summer, and then also next Tuesday is our first monthly, Well Food Pantry that, we'll hold at a community center for those who want to be part of that. So, I would recommend, the $300 donation for World Food Bank. I think it's well worthwhile.
Questions, comments, concerns? I'd entertain a motion, please.
Make a motion.
Move to approve resolution 2020-11, resolution of the Town of Platteville Board of Trustees granting a charitable donation to the Well County Food Bank as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, roll call please, Mary.
Harold Leggett,
Aye.
Nick Ralston,
Aye.
Spencer Bradnan,
Aye.
Troy Blum,
Aye.
Larry Clark,
Aye.
Jeremiah Overman.
Aye.
Alright, thank you guys. Resolution 2020-12, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Platteville, Colorado consenting to annexation of certain land within the Platteville growth area. Mr. Rankin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This may have been a surprise to some, because we're talking about annexation, but it's for Fort Lupton. I brought over a big map to kind of, you also have the map in your packet, but this past month or a little longer, Todd Hodges, he's the head planner for Fort Lupton. They have multiple planners. They're in the process, or they have been for years, of annexing a lot of property around Fort Lupton. Mostly on, I won't say mostly, but quite a few properties on the west side of the South Platte River, closer to Firestone, and Frederick and Dacono. That's some issues they're dealing with Tri-Town. This property is a 1.2 acre parcel, and the pre-application, it's for the Richard, Allen and Deborah Smith property. It's approximately 3/4 miles east of 19, so this is our planning boundary map. Excuse me. So over the years, this is our IJ boundary with Meade. This is with Milliken, joint planning area between Gilchrist, Milliken, and Platteville. These were established in 2011. And then this is our area with Gilchrist, very small. These were done 11 and 12, and then earlier this year we had just updated for either one with Meade. We had one with Fort Lupton in 2000 that actually had County Road 22 as a border. They approached us in 2014 about adjusting that to County Road 24 and do a two area joint planning, or 2 mile joint planning area. So in 2016 that was actually approved. So what I'm getting at is this property, here's 19, so it's approximately right here on 24, but it's on the north side. So according to our IJ with Fort Lupton, that anything within this section, this mile from 22, 24, they need to give us consent, and from 24 to 26, we have to give their consent to annex. So that was a mutual agreement between the two communities. Just to be fair, and we can observe, like on this annexation petition, what it's about. This is a construction company storage site. I looked at it as far as annexing this property. Firestone comes out on 24, and they have annexed it to 26. So we couldn't come down 66. If we did, we could have 66, a mile of County 21 blacktop, jog over, dirt, still some partial dirt roads and paved roads, to get back over, basically the back way to this property. It's just not feasible. There's no money into it. There can't be a whole lot of property tax on a 1.2 acre commercial site or industrial site out in the county. I did talk to Todd Hodges. This is still part of their plan to annex as much property over here to block, essentially, to be blunt, to block them from going to 85. We've been having this conversation with Fort Lupton for years about this. Cause if you dig deep enough, Firestone's urban growth boundary map, this yellow line, this is their boundary map. They have another one that they don't promote. It goes across 85, up to the port of entry, past it, and then over.
Yeah.
They actually include, if you look at this, they include me in their boundary map. They're very aggressive. So essentially, my view is if we have no interest on annexing this, and it's right on the border, I would promote Fort Lupton to, just for that border, so to speak. But, the picture of the property's in your package.
Why do they want to, this
Sure.
could be a dumb question, but why do they want to be annexed? These people approach Fort Lupton?
I don't know if they approach Fort Lupton, but Todd Hodges and his playing crew's been annexing a lot of parcels here. And just similar to the Hofsnyder property up here years ago, Rocky Hofsnyder was in Will County. This is just an example why they might be doing Fort Lupton. He was out of zoning compliance with the county. So the county basically told him, you need to annex into Milliken or Platteville. And since County Road 38 was already ours, we basically had negotiations with Milliken, we took him in. Because he either had to scrape the property, clean it up, or he could meet town zoning requirements and build a bench, put in trees, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know if that's their case or not. But a lot of these smaller parcels, that's what it really comes down to. Plus they can do a little more, it seems to be, depending on their use in a municipality than in Will County. So, I don't know their specific story, that's just an example.
Yeah, I'm just curious why they would do that.
I did too, and Todd really didn't disclose that to me, as far as, this is a tiny site. I mean, it's big as your property, Nick, over in Shoals, pretty much. I mean, it's for storage of construction equipment is all it is. And I did build in the IGA, and Kinder reviewed it, and I will do this with any others with Fort Lupton, that part of this 2-mile area, we have a 50-50 revenue cost sharing agreement. So for properties annexed within this 2 miles, either on our side or their side, excluding Overland Tractor, because that was before the agreement, that generates some revenue for the town and sales tax, that if sales tax is generated, we have to split that 50-50. So if Fort Lupton eventually gets sales tax from this property, annually they have to give us half of that. So that's part of this IGA agreement as well. And if we did something on our side that produced sales tax, we'd have to do the same thing. So, that's pretty much what it comes down to.
Troy, have we, a couple years ago, we annexed some areas. Are we, where we think we're comfortable enough to where we're set, or do we just look at that again down the road here?
Definitely.
Some areas.
This area, excuse me, this area right here, with 19 and 66, that's a big concern.
We flagpole it, but they can jump the flagpole.
Yeah, we went out to the river. So this is the river's the pole, or the flag, this is or vice versa. But
They're
right
paving
here,
19 right now, so is that the Firestone?
What's that?
They're paving 19.
Will County's paving these 2 miles.
Okay.
Firestone years ago paved this mile and this stretch. They have these 2 miles basically that they've annexed. And right here in the corner is a huge gravel mining operation about to go in. There's already one over here by the river. There's gonna be another huge gravel mining operation right on that corner.
Right across the street from Miller,
Yeah.
just west of Miller.
Immediately west of Miller, right at the, basically southwest corner of 66 and 19.
Jerry Nixon's place.
So when do we need to start addressing that or talking about that?
Well, the mayor and I are gonna have a meeting with Firestone, mayor and manager in the near future. I think that's the first approach, is to try to do it the, politically correct way.
Yeah, because we have, I would say that based on area and stuff, that we would have more of a right to that than they would, because they're so far away from
Exactly.
the flagpole.
Many residents along 66 in this area basically consider Platteville home. And, I know talking to, over the years, officials, not so much from me, but Frederick and Decono, they've always kind of, as you can see, you don't know where you're going at any time unless you see a sign.
Right.
I mean, like right here, these ponds, my wife works here at the King Soup's up here and the Safeway down here, they both fire stuff, but you would not think that. You think this one, that Safeway's in Frederick, it's not. So,
Yeah.
So what's keeping them from jumping over and doing a bit of a land grab?
We're only go a mile at a time.
They can only run a mile at a time for development?
yeah, we have a 3 mile annexation plan, so you can only do 3 miles per year. That's how we went to 66 and down to 24 on 85. But, you have to get the right of way, and it's really a pretty simple process, to be honest with you.
You can go further than 3 miles, but, another municipality can come in and fight you.
Yeah.
If you go further than 3, for any year.
Don't you have to have a property owner that's willing to get annexed into the town as well?
Yeah.
That's like the biggest thing, right, is finding someone that wants.
Yeah, just like here, the property owner has to file a petition, the town can't do it, and they can't force them to do it.
I don't personally understand why you're in an unincorporated Weld County, if you're what we're talking about, why you would ever want to think yourself part of the town.
So you could pay more taxes.
Right. It'd be under somebody's thumb.
Yeah, so I can't answer that. Years ago, some of you may remember, but it's been a few years, there was an Abrams gentleman that was going to put a shooting range down here right along the river. And we went down and protested that Firestone. And with the town hall meetings, I couldn't even get inside, there wasn't enough seating inside. But they ended up withdrawing that application. Cause the tricky thing with Firestone, this is the old abandoned railroad line, it's considered a right of way. So you can annex property off of this old abandoned railroad line, and that's what they were gonna do with this property. Not through a road, you can use a river, or a public stream, so those are right of ways. But they were gonna use this old abandoned railroad. And that's how they're gonna do it back in the day. But we contested it, so it means, and, I think we put enough pressure on them that they would do the application. So, but as far as this property, I've looked at it, and I just don't have any big concerns with it.
Legally, if Firestone decided to ignore all the protesting and with regards to that annexation you mentioned on the railroad, they could have done it anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty much
If they'd had a mind to.
bad blood. But Weld County tries to keep peace with all the municipalities. So Weld County a lot of times will get involved.
They have spinal say.
I just remember
Yes and no.
They have full.
years ago, Westminster was extremely aggressive in annexing property. Their city hall, the new one, is at 92nd in Sheridan. They annexed property to 160th Avenue,
Mm-hmm.
which is, how many miles north? Have you driven there? I try not to. They were grabbing land anywhere they could get, and did so successfully.
Well, in my perspective, you're gonna flagpole especially and grab land, you need to have the revenue to offset the cost to maintain that road and provide services, if you have to provide services. This is not logical whatsoever.
Well,
If it was a 600 parcel for a large lot residential subdivision, that'd be a different story.
I have no argument with
Yeah.
what you're proposing, just, trying to get a handle on how this annexation actually works.
Yeah,
The
it's.
laws are, and some of it's pretty fluid, it seems.
Every town has their own philosophy as far as annexations go. Some communities, they don't look at the financial impacts whatsoever. Most of them do. Cause who pays for it? It's your citizens.
Several don't care to work with the other municipalities either.
Years ago, I think Adrian was on the board at the time as a trustee. I reached out to Wes Levanchi, the Firestone manager, and we met at the coffee shop Bill Rose to talk about an IGA. And their IGA is very, it wasn't worth the paper it's written on, but basically it's first come, first served. If we can grab it before you can, fine, if you can grab it before we can, fine. There's no borders. And that's when I said, no, can't agree to this one. So what's the point? But that's all I have on this, Mayor.
Any other questions? questions, comments, concerns? I entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution 2020-12, resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Platteville, Colorado, consenting to the annexation of certain land within the Platteville growth area as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, resolution carried. C, intergovernmental agreement, community development block grant, Board of County Commissioners of Will County. Mr.
Thank you. Several months ago, Don Sandoval, the former, manager for DOLA, approached me and he picked up a part-time job for Will County. Met with me in the office, and his assignment was to promote this IGA with all municipalities. Will County is going after a urban county classification. And by doing so, they could receive direct funding from HUD for these low-income projects. And in order for them to do that, they need to get a certain percentage of municipalities in Will County to do an IGA with them to qualify. So, and pretty much all of them except for maybe two. Greeley's exempt. I'm not sure about Windsor, but all the small towns need to sign up or they can't become an urban county because it's based upon population and they need the rural towns. But with that said, I mean, I've looked at these development block grants, but I've never had a reason to apply for one. But if you apply for them, you're going against every county in the state. This, at first I wasn't sure if I liked it or not, but the more I talked to Don, Will County gets close to $1 million a year. We just apply directly with Will County on our projects. All 24 municipalities in Will County could do so, except outside of Greeley. And then we have a better chance of getting funding. Mr. Sandoval and I talked about some possible ideas like improving the downtown. Bella Vista has some real sidewalk issues that may qualify. So there's different things, but it has to go toward low income section of the town or blight and despair parts of the community like our downtown basically. It's fixing the sidewalks, helping fix up buildings. So I really don't have a big concern with this one. It would disqualify us for applying for a grant to the state, but we would apply directly with Will County.
We would apply for DOLA grants or no?
Yeah, DOLA is separate. Yeah, this is just for HUD for these specific projects regarding, principally to benefit low and moderate income persons, prevent, eliminate slums and blights, and satisfy urgent need in the community. Like example Don said is we don't currently have proper ADA ramps to all our parks. That would be a prime example of a grant we could apply for if Will County gets its designation. Because right now we need to put handicap ramps in both Rogers Farm Park, Bella Vista, the Coronado Park, and actually all of them. Lincoln needs to be upgraded, even though I had the rubber mat, it's worn out. And then over at Riverview. That'd be a simple grant to apply for, but this would pay for it. So, but that's kind of a summary cliff note version of this, unless you have any questions for me.
Questions, comments, concerns? I entertain a motion.
I move to approve an intergovernmental agreement, community development block grant, Board of County Commissioners of Will County as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, motion carried.
And this is a 3-year term, I feel to mention that.
So it'll come back up for
Renewal in 2022.
Moving on to reports.
As you may notice, other than Diane, she put hers together at the last minute. Both Carl David and Janet gave their direct emails. They'd like you to email them directly with any questions, or you can ask me, I can pass it on, either way. I'm not trying to speak for them, but Mary put that in, which I thought was good. So, they're just anxious to get back here, but if this goes on, I'm not sure if it will or not, Works probably going to set up Teams. David has a camera now that we're playing with today that I can do with my laptop. 3 of them can be shown on the screen, and there's a camera that faces you, so it's not just me they see all of you. So if this keeps going the way it is now, I'm gonna set that up so you'll have staff reports, quote unquote, live.
Cool.
So,
Perfect. Any questions for Troy regarding library, rec, seniors, police, public works.
I do wanna bring one thing up Carl told me today, cause I heard there's a fatality on 85 over the weekend on Sunday.
Yeah.
So he texted me, Sunday afternoon, a 23-year-old male, no seatbelt, and accused of intoxication, was going over 100 miles an hour and he crashed and killed himself, just in the north side of town. And earlier this afternoon, 18-year-old teenager from Eaton, going northbound road, not wearing a seatbelt, also announced dead on arrival. So what they're dealing with is some high speeds, and it hasn't stopped since this whole COVID-19 thing started.
Now traffic is increased.
And now traffic's increased back.
And last week, we had some road rage out just south of Brighton before 470.
Yep.
And ran the guy from the road and killed him, so, yeah.
Yeah, last week I was on my way to Shields, so in the back way,
Mhm.
there was a high speed chase coming down 13, and I was like, truck with big old Dodge, I think it was like a 3500, come
Get the
around the
stupid
corner,
ones out
about
of the
two
Jeep.
of the other cars out, and just kept going, I was like,
And there's been a lot of thefts lately, I've seen on Facebook, like people are getting their trucks stolen, their trailers stolen, their race cars stolen, it's like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, what the heck is going on out there?
Yeah, there's some desperation going on, some of it. The chief told me he stopped a gentleman last week on a road rage call, and the gentleman was just in his pickup thumping upside down the highway. He hadn't been working for 2 months. He's 2 months without paying his mortgage. He goes to all these food banks to get food for his kids. So, and he works for oil and gas, works for Halliburton. So some have it worse off than others. And he was just letting off steam. He apologized. He said, "Give me my ticket, I deserve it." It was an interesting call he had.
Yeah, I saw that Ian's going back to the street.
Ian, not to get too personal, but he and his wife are making some changes with their family and they wanna add to it. In order to do so with his wife's schedule, he needs to go back to a patrol. So, and since you brought that up, I've reached out to Johan. Tomorrow night they have a work session with the school board. Cause we're in a little bit of predicament. Carl's advertising to replace Ian as our second SRO. In the last 2 months, I haven't sent the school district a bill. I just didn't feel it was appropriate. We were providing the service. But both SROs are paid by that money. So I felt 2 months we could probably absorb that because they pay us enough to compensate for that. I told Johan, whether you're in session or not, I have to start billing you in September again, or else I can't maintain the SROs. So he's gonna talk to the school board, and of course, they don't know for sure because of Governor Polis and decisions that need to be made. But, one option they're gonna consider is maybe just having one. And right now we have Matt, and he had to cover both towns. But I don't know what that answer's gonna be. It's kind of their court. They fund the program and we provide the officers. But yeah, that's where that's going to, so.
So we can't say that we want them to have an officer in town at all times at the schools?
No, sir.
So we can't, because we're providing the officer, right, and let's not forget, before COVID-19, school shootings are still not gonna go away, right? So
No.
we don't, in my mind, we can't tell them we want an officer at Platteville schools, like,
If we pay 100% of it, I'm sure they
we
would.
have to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we can say that, but they're gonna say, well, then you can pay for that.
Yeah. And Johan and I had that conversation where some, like in our agreement, the school district pays 100%, some cost share, and there's some, I believe Firestone's one of them, where the PD and the town simply provides them at no cost to the school district. I heard that rumor, I don't know that for sure. We are not financially at that point, we just can't do it.
But I think it's completely fair, the agreement we have going on, and I would understand, whatever changes they need to make.
Yeah.
We take on the responsibility of payroll, all the liabilities that come with that, their uniforms, everything else, so training, so on and so forth, so, but yeah.
And that's another part of the conversation you and I had, is there any way to reduce that amount? I said, well, the amount that we first went into contract with in 2016. So we're going into our 5th year coming up. And that amount was about $163,000 for 2 SROs. That's based upon the formula by adding up 2 dedicated vehicles for 9-10 months of the year. Nobody else drives them but the SROs. Of course, all the uniforms, their body armor, the vests, their training, they're both certified as SROs. There's a class to go to in the training. And then, like Adrian said, there's not just their checks. I mean, we have, payroll taxes and benefits and health insurance. So on average, you know, the cost of officers with everything combined is going up 4 to 8% a year. But we have not asked for an increase last 4 years, so I said, right now I'm looking at the numbers as of end of 2019, and they still are paying enough to satisfy that obligation, but I did tell you on, in the next full school year, we'd probably push them with a contract increase. So,
There's no reason why we need to lose money. I mean, they're the ones that asked for the service, we're providing it, and this is the cost that we can legitimize.
and
These are our hard costs in providing the service.
And
So if
trying
you
to-
want it, you pay for it, simple.
And over the last 4 years, we've had a month or so, usually not more than a month, where we've only been able to have one SRO, because either we're short-staffed, we pull them on the street, or they've been sick or whatever. I made that adjustment on their billing, cause Devin sends the bills. I think that's fair, but I said, I can absorb 2 months, but I can't do more than that. So we'll see, I'll give the board an update, or Carl will, when we get to that point.
What's up with, sports?
As of today, Janet emailed me, they were accepting online registrations. I don't think there's more than 5 in any grade level of both boys or girls. So she's gonna cancel summer sports.
Didn't Five Star cancel a few weeks ago?
4-star already canceled the league,
Okay.
and softball was still pending, which put us in a bind, cause I wasn't willing to have girls softball, but not boys baseball. But the thing is, some of the leagues, like in 4-star, that league was forced to cancel because half the town said, we're not playing, like LaSalle. So you don't have a league unless you have all your participants. So that's kinda going down the same road with the softball league. I think Indian Peaks might be what it's called. But as of today, she's gonna put out an announcement. She's gonna send it to me. I'm gonna share with Adrian, and then it'll go public. So.
There's been quite a few questions
Yeah.
regarding that.
So that was decided as of today, because she checked, it would have been deadline time for those 2 sports, and between all of them combined, you might make one team of all age groups. I mean, she showed me the list, so, unfortunate.
Any other questions? All the reports besides Shorty? Okay, moving on to Mr. Rankin's report.
Okay, couple items real quick, I mentioned the Will County Food Pantry, so next week we'll have the pantry on Tuesday, we'll start the summer program on Wednesday. Staff will help out as needed on that as well. I mentioned the Reynolds Avenue Underground project, they got a hold of, Mrs. Dias' daughter today, and she and Dave and I are gonna meet tomorrow morning at 11. Cause Dave and I initially met with Dirk McCormick on his property. He has a service line that goes from the utility pole at Reynolds to his property. I'm not asking them properties to pay for their upgrades, because we're forcing this on them. It's not gonna be significant. And Excel will give me the town rate, by the way. But, Dirk was in agreement, so basically a small 25 kW transformer on his property, and it's underground to his house. And his service was upgraded 2 years ago when the wind fell on the line, so we don't have to upgrade the service, we just have to reconnect to it. The Dinah's property at Main and Reynolds, over there directly north of the Sturple property, has an overhead power line connection to the house, and there's one by the community center that is an overhead connection to the well. Cause they have a well on the backside of the property, cause they flood irrigate the property, which she's gonna do that tomorrow, she's gonna prime the well and flood irrigate it. So we're gonna meet tomorrow, and she's verbally, as just the phone conversations, in agreement with it, but she wants to kinda see how that's gonna work, cause she doesn't want us to fill in her irrigation ditch. Basically, it's a shallow ditch that goes all the way around not the whole 5 acres, but just the 1 acre house.
Which
And-
enables her to flood irrigate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she mentioned that, they're gonna put up for sale, and I said the town would be interested in considering purchase. And I discussed this with the board, but if you look at the 4 acres on the north side, it's right next to that east ball field. We need more ball fields. It'd be great to have a girls softball field dedicated to them, and a t-ball field, some practice fields. And then there's some talk about a community garden. There's a big 1 acre lot, and there's a well there. I mean, just some ideas thrown out there. So I haven't made any offer, I'm just saying.
Would we get the water rights out of with that?
We better get the will rights, that would come with the property, yeah. But I think this would be a pretty highly sought after property, cause has acreage, and it's technically in Will County.
What it is?
It is, it's an enclave, and this is, it's wrong map, but Dirk McCormick's 1 acre is in Will County on Reynolds, and the Dinah's property, the 5 acres, is in Will County.
So is
Gala, no, hers is actually in town,
It is.
yeah.
Oh.
Now where the horses are, cause I get questioned about that, the property extends into Will County, just a sliver behind. The house is in town, but behind it is Will County, that's how they get horses.
Oh.
It's unique property, it overlaps town limits.
Okay.
But, she and I are gonna talk more about that, but I said, without going to you first, I think it would be something of interest if we could pull it off. Cause there's no room to expand anymore over there.
I believe it's another house and just upkeep for the last 3 years, so.
Yeah.
These are the properties that are west of Division along Reynolds and on the north side of Reynolds, but between the community center and Reynolds, is that correct?
Between community center and Main Street, so you have on that
Oh,
corner,
and Main Street.
you have Troy on the one corner, Irene, and then Darryl Phillips bought the house, and then Dinah's is, so it's on the northwest corner of Reynolds and Main.
Okay.
Right immediately east of the community center. So,
Wanted to make sure I knew
yeah.
where you were talking about.
So hopefully we'll more likely work that out tomorrow, and then they'll finalize those plans. And we'll hopefully get an estimate of the undergrounding. I have not heard back. David's reached out again to Al Ermer and our contact with CenturyLink about undergrounding on Main Street, cause that should have started this month, and it hasn't. Then we're also underground that pole up there on the shoulder at 25 and 32.5. We're gonna move that, we're not gonna underground that pole, that power pole, light pole. We're gonna move it off, probably about 10, 15 feet to the north, so those trucks may come around that corner. We have a bigger turning radius, so. Lastly, this afternoon, Mary and I, David, had a conference call or Zoom with Steve Thurston Kinner about what's called the West Farm Development Agreement. We're now calling it the LG Everest, because we're gonna vacate the old development agreement, we're gonna implement a new one. So that's currently under review. Melissa had some questions for mostly Kendra as well as Steve Thayers on their reviews, so that will probably come to board July 21st, that second meeting. So right now, the development agreement has both zoning and development in it. Kendra wants it pulled apart, so the zoning will be a separate document. That will go to the planning commission and then be ratified by the board on the 21st. Then the development agreement, as far as the park dedication, the trails, improving 32.5, and their mining operation, that will then go directly to the board on the 21st of July for approval. So we think we have most of the details worked out on that. Other than that, Mary had a confirmation from Sam Light that on July 9th at 6, I know it's a little early, but that's when he's available to be here to do our biannual elected official training.
June
9th, sorry, I was just talking July. So June will be busy, it's been slow for the board for the last few months, so we have 2 regular meetings and a study session in June.
That's the second meeting, or second Tuesday?
Second Tuesday.
Okay.
So we'll meet on the second, regular meeting, the 9th study session at 6, and then we'll have the meeting on the 16th.
Instead of the first and the third,
We're doing all 3 meetings.
okay.
Yeah, both regular meetings and then a study session in between, that second Tuesday. And that was his only availability. And he will actually be here in person, not through the TV, which is where I want it. And technically it's only for our newly elected official, but I like the whole board to be here because it's a nice refresher course for everybody.
It is.
So, usually about an hour. So,
Lots of great information.
so that's why Mary called you last night, because I was thinking of that, but also FHU. They're actually gonna be here on June 2nd
Okay.
at 6:30. So we'll get it all out in writing for everybody. And they wanna talk about a proposal to design, those improvements for downtown.
June 2nd at 6:30, June 9th at 6.
6.
June
16th, right there at
At
7
7.
For now.
Thank you.
And then right now, there's nothing on the July 7th meeting, but July 21, either night. So I'm looking 2 months down the road. We're just not doing our annual contracts for patching, chip sealing sidewalks like we normally do this month. So, otherwise, that's pretty much all I have. Mary, do you have anything from the front office?
Any questions, full staff?
What's that?
Feedback to full staff.
Yeah. I still have one that just do some family daycare concern because COVID's out there. Not completely working full-time, but taking leave time that she's accrued, which I'm fine with. I'd support that anytime.
Have you, sure you have, given any, thought or estimates as to the budget shortfall in the last, 45 days and 30 going forward?
I'm waiting to see next month's financials, which will be the March financials. Looking at, and I think I indicated in my report, the financials so far have been stronger than anticipated as far as sales tax. Our property tax we'll get, but it'll maybe be a little bit of a lag for those who self-pay, not a mortgage. But I've always told my staff that it's not, and don't take me the wrong, I mean, it's tough enough on local storefront businesses. It's the oil and gas crash market that's gonna hurt us the worst. That is gonna hurt us bad. And as of right now, see, that just crashed this last month. So we're not gonna see that effect in probably for 2 more months in the financials.
And that's reflected not only in severance tax, but sales tax.
Sales tax, mental interest. I have high hopes, applying for a tier 1 dollar grant for $1 million for a sewer lagoon. I'm not optimistic right now. Because when this crashed back in 09 and 08, the governor at the time, Hickenlooper, pulled the severance tax money back to the governor's budget. There was no applications for dole at the time. Not to bring it to pass, but that's what happened.
But
So,
the state revolving loan fund is still gonna be available.
that one, because there's some stimulus money backfilling that program because of the infrastructure. Water and sewer is a critical need. I'm not too concerned about the state revolving. It's a loan.
Sure.
I'm just trying hard not to do a $5 million loan, a $3 million loan instead. We get the dollar grant and cash match it with $1 million, and we just pay that off. And we finance for $3 million. I really don't wanna finance for all 5. But I'll do what I can.
Is there any, states will get some of the federal money because of the, COVID and the shutdown. Is there any money from, I know the governor's kind of keeping that close to his pocket right now, but is there?
It's a big stir with the municipalities.
Yeah, is any, nothing coming down to our level to help offset some of that tax?
Several weeks ago on a Friday, there was an announcement made by, it wasn't the governor, it was the lieutenant governor, I believe, to all the municipalities of Will County, or the state. I can't even tell you what the response was, it was not good.
So he announced yesterday that he's decided, he didn't wait for the legislature to decide what he's doing, he's doing what he wants to do. He's not passing it around.
So, I don't know what kind of formula they're using or anything like that.
Not passing it around.
Yeah, I did see that he's getting 1.2 billion, to backfill some stuff that.
It's supposed to go to help sustain municipalities for revenue shortfalls. But I'm very doubtful.
So, CMLs are lobbying, are they lobbying to him and to legislators to?
They won't meet with him. He won't meet with them.
He's just strict,
Do you get the CML
I don't read it,
emails?
yeah, I don't read it all the time.
They try to keep us pretty updated.
Yeah, there's a lot of circles going on right now, continuing. But, going back to your question, I am still suspending any additional capital projects for the year. There's still about $1 million with capital projects that are pending, and, street patching, chip sealing, sidewalk repairs, $700,000, roughly $600,000 roughly to do the detention pond for Reynolds Avenue on Division. That's all been suspended. So,
So those suspended projects and their dollar valuation, would you say more than offsets the, reduction in revenue?
Nah, by the end of the year, I'm not thinking that's gonna happen. The biggest reduction.
Which way will it fall? You have more loss of revenue than delayed value of projects?
It depends on the oil and gas. Okay, right now, we're about $500,000 in more revenue than expenditures, because my staff is doing a great job. After 33% of the year, it's about 25% expenditure.
With the suspension of capital projects.
With the suspension of capital projects, so we spend most of our money May through August on capital projects. There's $300,000 set aside in the streets and highways fund, the general fund, to do patching and chip sealing. That's the main one I've suspended. The other projects are taken out of special revenue funds, water and sewer, parks, and conservation trust, use tax, and capital improvement fund. Capital improvement fund is, to me, is more like the general fund. It's sales tax based only. That's the only revenue that goes into that. So that's where the bigger projects like the storm drainage come out of. So as of right now, if we have a 15 to 20% decrease throughout the rest of the year, we could probably we'll come close to making budget. That's a rough estimate. If it's more of a 50% increase, we're gonna have to amend the budget and dip into reserves.
70% of our sales tax estimate comes from oil and gas.
Oil and gas related services, yes.
Yeah, the roustabout being uber busy in the morning.
Yeah, and just
Support services.
looking at the community, I mean, like today I went down to look for something to eat at lunch at the roustabout. I mean, it was dead. I mean, cooks were there, but nobody was taking food. Parking lot was empty. 5 cars maybe. Not normal at all. So, and if you drive the energy park like Melissa and I did today, you know, Willow Creek, Reliance, Ready, all
They're
that.
all hauling their equipment down to Texas.
Yeah, they're all full. Joe Max down here that bought Calfrac, their yard is completely full of equipment. There's nothing out in the field right now. So, Dave and I talked to a contractor with Sean at Ready Mix, this concrete contractor, because I'm getting a bid to improve 32 in front. It's just horrible. A lot of complaints on that T intersection. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna fund it or not, I just want a bid. He had 20 jobs lined up. He does oil pad concrete sites for these oil and gas. He had 20 lined up for May, he has 2. And he said those 2 probably will be canceled before the next week. So, there's a big impact with oil and gas right now in Will County. Or the state for that matter. So,
Do we have any roads or sidewalks that, like, we've got to fix them
Yeah.
here, that, if we wait too long, it's gonna, I mean, that are must fix this summer, that we can budget for?
what we budgeted for this year is mostly on Main Street, basically from Goodrich past the Silver Spur up to McCormick Shop, and then down in front of the Elver-Gill. That's a pretty bad stretch. A lot of cracks, a lot of trip hazards in front of K&L Realty. That's what we're gonna focus on this summer. I'm not calling it off for good, because that money is actually coming out of the sidewalk fund, out of the utilities. It's not sales tax based.
Okay.
I don't think 70,000 will do that whole project. I did have Code Officer Bonner walk the sidewalks in Bella Vista, because I heard rumors they're getting that. They have lifts about that, like that big. So, and the tree roots too, so we're gonna have to spend some money in there.
Yeah.
I'll probably get a cost estimate on that, but, and if Will County gets this urban county development, I'm gonna apply for a grant to replace those sidewalks. I think we qualify. Cause Bella Vista was initially developed as a low-income housing project back in the 70s. May not have a designation anymore, but I can argue the point. But streets, we were gonna patch and chip seal both sides of Main Street from 66 all the way up here to Reynolds. And we're, you know, we have a 10-year program where we touch every street every 10 years. And then next year I was gonna go back into Rogers Farm and Old Homestead.
Is it Main Street CDOTs?
No, we're not doing Main Street. It's just
Oh, you're just.
from Vasquez to Division, both but like from the schools and Riverview Park, all those side
Sidewalks,
streets,
you're not at road.
the road.
Oh,
The patching and chip sealing of all those,
like
One
Jerry's,
block
here's
side.
Elizabeth.
Right.
yeah, because those are getting pretty bad shape again too. And then Bella Vista would have been chip sealed too, we patched it, and it just adds longer life to the road when you chip seal over patching, cause it helps seal those seams. And that was only $160,000 to chips only, but in the market, $160,000 to chip seal all of Bella Vista, both sides of Main Street, from Vasquez Division up to Reynolds. Pretty good price. And then we had another $200,000 for $100,000 for patching. I'm not touching that money right now, I just can't. So, we have a good reserve, I just don't wanna dip in it too much, so.
So we're just gonna, if we get potholes and damage, we're just gonna fill as needed.
Yeah, I'll spend money for the worst case. If we have a bad pothole, you know, a tire wreck or kind of thing, or a bad stretch of sidewalk where we're gonna have somebody trip, absolutely. But as far as outside of Bella Vista, I haven't seen any sidewalks that have that severe trip hazard. The ones down, I mentioned on Main Street, like in front of K&O and the Green Chiropractor, Elvergale, they're crumbling, they're starting to fall apart. They don't have the big gaps yet, but they're not smooth. So, that one probably, because it comes out of sidewalk fund, I'll bring it to the board later this year. So, at least do something.
In your report, it says 33% of the year's budget, we've received 52.2% of the expected revenues, right? So it's not all doom and gloom, we're just anticipating it to be.
Well, the revenue so far for the year and there's a lag, especially in sales tax. Property tax has been fine. So, we have a $2.5 million budget, and we've received over $1 million so far, so 50-some%. But of that 2.5, 1.8 million is property and sales tax. That's our biggest revenue. So, property tax will be fine, it's about $760,000. Sales tax is anticipated, low estimate about $1 million. It'll probably be a 1.5 million on a good year like last year. But I never budget high, never have, I'm too conservative. I don't know that specific number in front of me, but right now the sales tax is doing well. But that is pre-COVID-19 sales tax. So
And
really.
was you budgeted conservatively?
Yeah. So in June, it's hard to answer that question, Larry, because the last 4 years, we've always had a budget surplus of $500,000 or more over revenues over expenditures. So we may get lucky, but I'm still not willing to, we can do sidewalk patching in September, October, but I wanna wait the next 3 months and see what happens. I just don't.
And that's if the economy turns back on too. Cause if
Yeah.
this goes, slowly opens up over the next until the rest of this year, like some are talking, it's gonna drag on.
I want our local businesses to open back up. I need the oil and gas to start pumping oil again, cause that's what our revenue comes from in Platteville. Without it, it's about probably $35,000 a month. With it, it can be up to $180,000 a month.
I did see that the price of, the stockpile for oil is coming down, so the price of oil, which is future prices, is coming back up, so that's a good
Yeah.
sign.
And I've gone back and forth with people on oil and gas. Talking today, it's interesting. You see the satellite images of, South Korea and China and different places where 3 months ago, just different, there's no smog, it's changed. But you still have to have
We need petroleum.
the energy to
Yeah.
support this country. It's a double-edged sword. And I live in the community of Platteville, I support oil and gas. I do. So.
I got a question for Mary, on the ballots that we had like 17, ballots that came back that you had to verify signatures.
Mhm.
And I know the tax was real close, so that wasn't enough to verify.
None of them came back.
None of them came back?
One.
There were still 5 scores on
You
that
got to
one.
count one vote.
One question.
I was curious,
And we probably had 20 or more that were mailed after the deadline.
This
Yeah.
this project over here is still on, 7-Eleven.
Mhm.
I bought that's still guaranteed cold feet. You haven't got any.
Not yet, they still plan on, Melissa and I talked about it today, they tweaked their site plan a little bit, they adjust the building location on the property because they want to increase the number of pumps for the smaller vehicles in the front along Vasquez, and they reduced the number of pumps for the bigger pickups. They just made that adjustment, which is nothing really. So it's all but done.
Okay.
Let's just have to draft the final order this next Tuesday, and, Lynn, our representative, I think that's her name, talking with the Hunter Development Group, it's a company that's developing this for 7-Eleven. They develop sites for McDonald's and Starbucks and all these places, it's called Hunter Development Group. Great to work with, great professionals, there's hardly any back and forth as far as comments on the application, 'cause they read our code and they submit it accurately, so. I'm hoping they break ground.
Well, the last company's moved out of that corner there.
Yeah, SSI finally got all their stuff out. Randy took no time at all to get rid of cars, he was gone.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that they break ground by the end of summer,
Okay.
but, they may have decided to hold back a little bit, because of the economy. But the one that keep places open pretty much across the country is gas stations. So, but right now, you're not buying a lot of gas, so I don't know how all that impacts, their business plan. So, that's all I have.
Anything else from Mr. Rankin? Alright, moving on. I wanted to make, extra note that last week was, police week, and this week is public works week. I very much appreciate both departments and everything they do. I just wanted to say that out loud.
Well, last week, Public Works grilled burgers and brats for the cops, so I'm probably gonna order pizza for the Public Works crew, and we are gonna eat it anyway, so.
Uh-huh, yeah. No, appreciate that.
Food goes a long way.
Yes, absolutely. Other than that, I didn't have any change or anything else to report forward. Okay, alright, we're adjourned.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Was that upside down, or was it?